Okay, so we're back. Now, the majority of the rest of the homework on scales revolves around one concept, and I'm going to show you what that is. I'm also going to show you why key signatures are so important and why you've been drawing them, because you might be thinking like, why? Like, who cares about key signatures? So this is the scale of B major. And B major, if you look, has 5 sharps. Now, if we write this scale ascending and descending, we have to write all, so this is called with accidentals. So when it says do the following scales with accidentals, you have to write F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, and A sharp in here. Look at how many of them there are. Here, 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 and here. It's a real mess. This is also a lot of information for your brain to process. So if you handed me this piece of music and you're like, can you play this? And you give me a piece that has all of these accidentals, every time my brain sees an accidental, I have to process that. B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B, A sharp, G sharp, F sharp, E, D sharp, C sharp, B. Even to say it takes a long time. If it takes a long time to say it, it takes a long time to think about it, and then it therefore takes a long time to play it. Now here's the alternative. If we use a key signature, you put the key signature once at the beginning of the scale, and then you don't have to write any of the sharps in because it's in the key signature. So this means that every F, C, G, D, A, and E is going to be a sharp. And as a musician, you eventually learn how to remember that there's 5 sharps in B major. This is after years of lessons and playing and whatnot. Usually you start with keys that have like 1 or 2 sharps or flats, but I just did one with a lot of sharps to show you the difference. Now, okay, so here we wrote 10 sharps, here we wrote 5. So it's only twice as much, right? Nuh-uh. Imagine this was a 12-page piece of music. Imagine there was like 9 of these stabs on each page times 12 pages. What's 9 times 12?
108.
Is it? 9 times 8?
Yeah.
Oh, 9 times 8 is 72. 9 times 12 is 108. So 108 pages with all of these sharps written in every single line. No, 108 staves. 108 lines of this with all the sharps written in it. If you put a key signature in that piece of music, you write it once for the entire piece. You don't have to write any more sharps for 12 pages. This is very clean. This is a mess. So usually all music, no matter what instrument or style, it's all done with a key signature because this is clean and tidy. It's also way less work for the composer to write. Because of course now we have computers, but back in the 1800s, 1700s, before we had computers, this was all written out by hand. Could you imagine writing a 40-page piece for the orchestra where you have to write out thousands of accidentals? Or you draw the key signature once at the beginning of the piece of music, and then it applies to the whole song. So does that make sense? So that's why key signatures are so important, because they save you a ton of time when you're writing it. They save you a ton of time when you're reading it or saying it and playing it. So they're really essential. That's why you have to get fast at naming your key signatures, because every single piece of music that you'll ever look at has a key signature. And if there's no key signature, it just means you're in C major, because there's no sharps and flats. Does that make sense? Good. Okay, now let's move over here. You still see me, Osmo? All right. it's gonna lose me. Okay. Follow me. Oh, it's lost me. I'm right here. There we go. Okay. Now here's the last thing that I need to teach you today, and then you have the rest of the class to do the homework. So, I'm over here. Okay, so here's our circle of fifths, and this has all the major keys. Now, have any of you ever seen this thing before? What is this thing called? Which one? Tai Chi? Yin and Yang? It's got lots of names. What does this represent? Balance, opposites. So good and bad, or like good and evil, black and white, hard and soft. It's all of these different ways of having polar opposites. And in music, it's no different. We have music that is in a major key. It sounds happy, it sounds good. And every major key has the other half. It has the minor key that goes with it. So I'm going to show you how we figure that out. So what is two letter names down from C? Count backwards. C, B, A. If you count down 2 notes, you get the name of the minor. And we call them relatives. Like, oh, this is my relative, she's my cousin. Or that's my relative, that's my sister. Or that's my relative, that's my aunt. So a relative means you're related. These 2 keys are related. This is like the superhero, and this is like the villain. It's arch nemesis. Okay? So this is like a bright, shiny white light, and this is an evil black, not light. I don't know what to call that blob of anger, rage. Okay, so C major goes with A minor. Now all you do is just go down 2 notes. G goes down to E minor. D goes down to B minor. A goes down to, oops, we use a lowercase, F sharp minor. Why is this F sharp minor? Who knows why it's F sharp minor and not just F minor?
Is it because the F is sharp
in the key signature? Yeah, because we have an F sharp. So every F in A major is going to be a sharp. So if you go down 2 notes, it's down to F sharp. If we go down 2 notes, we get C sharp minor, because there's the C sharp. If we go down 2 notes from B, B goes down to A goes down to G, G sharp minor, D sharp minor, A sharp minor. So these are all of the relative minors of these major keys. If we go down 2 notes from F, F goes down to E and then down to D. 2 notes down from B flat is G minor, C minor, F minor, B flat minor, E flat minor, and A flat minor. Okay? Now, do you guys remember in one of our first classes, did I do the game major minor with you yet? Where I played something in a major key or a minor key? No? Okay, I don't have my keyboard with me today, so we'll do that next class. We'll play major minor, and what you'll notice is that all of the minor keys sound either sad or scary or suspenseful, mysterious, evil, and all the major keys sound happy, silly, fun, playful. Okay? So these two are forever related to one another. There's only one relative, minor or major. So C major is only related to A minor. G major is only related to E minor. Now here's the interesting thing. They both have the same key signature. So the key signature of C sharp minor is these 4 sharps. The key signature of E flat minor is these flats. These 2 keys both have the same key signature. So if you saw a piece of music, like a score, and it was in E flat minor, it would have the key signature of G flat major. So you don't have to figure out, there isn't a separate rule to figure out the key signatures for minors. If you're given a minor key, you just go up to the major, and then you use the rules for the major. So if you're told a piece of music is in C sharp minor, so what's the key signature of C sharp minor? Well, instead of going down 2 notes, you go up 2 notes. You do it backwards. So C goes up to D, and D goes up to E. So we know that C major has the same, C sharp minor has the same key signature as E major, and E major has F, C, G, and D sharp. They both have the same key signature. So if you looked at a piece of music and you saw 4 sharps at the beginning, and they asked you what key it's in, it could be in either one of these keys. So follow me, Osmo, this way, this way. So this piece of music has 5 sharps, right? So it could either be in a major key or a minor key. So what we do is we look, 5 sharps, so it's either in B major or G sharp minor. And in a couple of classes, you're going to learn how to figure that out. You basically look at the first and the last note. If the first and the last note, or the last note is a B, you're usually in B major. If the first or the last note is a G sharp, you're usually in G sharp minor. Okay? And next week, we're going to spend the whole class next week learning about minor scales. And once I explain minor scales to you, you'll find even more ways that you can tell if you're in a major or a minor key. And then we'll also play major minor next week. It's kind of a fun game. It's a chance to get out of the books for a few minutes and do something where we just listen with our ears. Okay? Sound good? So, accidentals, key signatures, and relative minors. This is how we complete the circle of fifths. You have a page for homework that's called Completing the Circle of Fifths. That's what this is. You're just putting in the relative minors. And that's what all the homework is. It's just basically those 3 things. But it's lots. It's lots of repetition doing those things. So what I want you to do is get to work, do as much homework as you can in the next half hour, and I'm going to come around and check and make sure that you're doing it correctly. Okay? Sound good? Okay, go ahead.